course. Good morning, everyone. And oh no, the Facebook is not streaming. It's okay. We got YouTube.
Oh,
Facebook. I'll fix you later.
yeah,
With
you
that
just
said,
add it
you guys
later.
do need a lot of fixing. All right.
Yeah, it does. Maybe we should have one of the. Ooh, we should have one of these on a. Speaking of Meta, on one of their. Wouldn't it be cool to have a whole podcast on one of their VR
That would
goggle
be great.
things?
Let me know, guys, what you guys think.
Yeah.
Should we do that?
And then after that, Rosita and I have giant headaches and go, wait, no, we shouldn't have done
Well, funny enough that you brought that up because VR and AR is going to be a massive theme this year that I've been finding out with the
that.
local districts in Orange
Oh, cool.
County.
AR is pretty cool. I mean, if they can make once, oh gosh, I can see in 10 years. Well, it might be more than that. There's certain parts of AR that I am excited to see before I die that I think would be so cool for learning. Like one of the things that like Meta advertises this, or like you can see dinosaurs and touch them. I'm like, no, it's not that far. You can see
It is
them
not
and
that
you
far.
and it's very cartoony, but and it's there, but the touching them part that will come. People are like, how would you do that? I don't know. That's technology. Like it's gonna happen. There's gonna be things where it'll basically be like a little glove or something that you put on your hand that when you touch something in the AR, in the VR AR, whatever, VAR, are we gonna call it
No,
something new?
no,
I don't
no,
know.
no. The AR and VR are two different things.
No, but they
Oh,
can
the
be
integration of both of them.
you
Okay,
integrate them
okay.
because you're augmenting it because VR is just visual
Yeah, it's virtual reality.
at this point. I mean, and that's what I mean is you're integrating the touch sensitive part of it, which would be so cool to be able to do that. And like you can touch a tiger without it eating you,
Yeah, but
kind of
that
thing.
also kind of horrifies me in a sense that might encourage certain behaviors.
It does, unfortunately. But you know what? We say that. So I do have a commentary on that a little bit. So much I've heard so long about how like violent video games, for example, turn us into certain people.
It can influence
I'm
us.
sorry, but I have played a lot of video games where I have murdered people. But I haven't done that in real life and it will never happen because I know that it's not real. I'm not actually murdering people. I'm not killing people. I mean, that's the thing is if you are shooting something or sword fighting with someone or whatever in a video game, no matter how realistic it is, as long as you know it is a video game and it is virtual, then for the most part, if it wasn't the case, if it was going to be rampant, then us Gen Xers would have already destroyed the entire world by now. Just because.
Just saying that.
Hey,
James, I'm just saying you kind of really good.
No, Gen X is not in office.
No, and well,
Gen
I
X
know.
hasn't even been in office yet. People think Gen X is like old people. No, that's baby boomers. Baby boomers and greatest generation. Trump and Biden are both greatest
Okay,
generation.
let's
I'm going
keep
to put that
it.
in quotes. Let me do this.
Yeah, true.
Greatest generation. Hey, put both of them in there. I'm not saying anything about either of them. I'm just saying that's the generation they are. Then there's the silent generation. Oh, they might be silent generation. Actually, I think that's what they are. They're silent generation. They're the ones that were born in or around the Depression, I think. Like, so that's the silent generation.
I don't know.
I forget. I always mix them up.
It's okay.
And the greatest generation, I think, is the ones that fought during World Wars or one or something. So they're like mostly gone.
So.
So yeah, Gen Xers we basically like just sit back and it's just how it is. It's not we haven't been in charge of anything, unfortunately.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to EdTech
Yeah,
Cafe. Um,
yeah,
and basically, our whole podcast is about just empowering like educators, teachers, tutors, all alike. Just really just to teach you guys and help you guys keep on the trends of the future of learning, especially with the possibility of the integration of VR and sorry, the AR and VR. Um,
yeah,
and but we also go just beyond the gadgets and the tools that you know that can amplify our teaching and learning. We go from like teacher training, classroom strategies, to entrepreneurship for educators. I mean, both of us have been in education for a long while, and we have our own online businesses and our own online educational businesses.
yes.
So
And
we know
I,
it.
yeah, and yeah, and thinking about all this stuff, like I know that that's one reason I like to bring up this subject every so often, and probably more often than other subjects, is I know that there are a lot of people who are scared of the future of whatever the job market might be. And I always encourage people to look at it in this way. Now, I understand that, like, of course, if you are a coder and you're not into AI, there's a good chance you might need a new job. I mean, I'm just going to be bluntly honest because that's the way it's going to go. But that said, historically, so many things have happened where you've had people saying, this Henry Ford is going to make it so nobody has a job. Well, that didn't happen. Yeah, people got laid off, but there were still other jobs. There were always other jobs. And it wasn't necessary. And here's the funny thing is sometimes these tech innovations make it so people in overall make more money. Sometimes they make less money. It doesn't really affect us as much in the job market as we think it's going to. I admit that in 10 years, are half of my students going to need me? I don't know. Because I really don't know what's going to happen technologically in 10 years, but I know that I'll adapt to it.
And
Because I
that's the
know I
thing that
can.
educators have to do is adapt. And that's why we
Yeah.
have to embrace the technology at a certain level, depending
Yeah.
on, what you teach. And yes, your personal preferences, but please keep an open
Hmm.
mind, as not all learners are the same. So
Yeah.
applying technology can help you. And understandably, technology can be intimidating, or daunting, and you're like, oh crap, there's another thing that I need to learn and have that learning curve. Yeah, yeah, but that's life, right? We're always going to
It
give
is.
something that and where we have to learn something new and incorporate it in our lives. If we don't, then we are in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, and I'll say that there's things now that, I mean, I kind of just laugh at it because I read a lot of like news articles on like tech stuff or whatever. And what I thought was very interesting is I can find where it's obviously AI written. And I've found that unfortunately, most major news outlets articles, I mean like newspaper type, like online newspaper types,
Mm-hmm.
most, and I want to say nearly 100% are AI written now, even though there's a person behind it. And I can tell by there's certain tells still that I can tell without even like using something to tell me if it's AI written. And that will get better, because it's kind of like what people are doing is they're having the AI write it, but they're also having the AI edit it. Bad idea. And
Yes. Yes. Use like
really bad idea.
Grammarly still. When you have like the AI stuff, and use you,
Use yourself.
use
And if you're
yourself.
and if you're writing for the New York Times, please, for God's sake, use a human editor. And if you see that editor look at your 5-page article and go, yeah, everything's good, 5 seconds later, go to another editor, because they obviously didn't read it. Or 5 minutes later, they didn't read it that fast and tell you where the mistakes were.
Editing, it does take a chunk of time, unless if it's that perfect, then yes,
Yeah.
it can.
Yeah.
You can tell, but it does take time to edit, because it's not just
Yeah.
the grammar. It's not just about the punctuations, but it's also about the nuance, the tone of your writing. But we are actually today, we're going to be talking about some trending technologies that are really defining the future of not just education, but also higher education. Starting with the big one,
Yeah.
Phil. You touched on it already.
Is it ChatGPT?
It's AI. Yes, AI and machine learning.
Yeah, not ChatGPT, not OpenAI specifically.
Yeah, but
But
AI as a
yes.
whole, all machine learning, so Gemini and all the all the similar platforms. So, and we've been talking a lot about AI because it is so new. There's constant things that are being updated, and here's honestly the key takeaways that AI is used in education by teachers, by educators. One, it streamlines tasks for educators, which includes grading, also assessment development. Two, personalizing learning experiences. You can add the feedback that you're getting from the parents or from the kid, and you're tailoring those lesson plans to your students or clients' individual need. Now, whenever we refer to
Yeah.
students in classroom, please know we're not just specifically talking about kids. 60% of the time we are. But adults can be students, and we should always be a student, in my opinion.
Yeah. I had a thought on AI and I lost it for a second there. So that's how these things go in your brains, human brains. But let me. So there is again, as teachers, we have this like thing where we wonder like, well, how do I look up like if someone has either plagiarized or has purely used AI to write their paper. There are at least half a dozen to a dozen different sites that have, and I think Grammarly has added one too. I think they even have one. I mean, that's not the major one. I know there's a major one that universities use, and I forgot what it's called. I was just trying to look it up. That universities and colleges use, where you basically just put the paper in there and it will tell you this is this percentage plagiarized or AI, and it can be. And now the hard part there is there's even a thing where I think what happens is
it's just undetectable AI.
it might be. So here's what they do though. Here's the only negative to it. There is a negative to it. And I actually, interestingly, there was a movie I just watched recently that was about the negative part of this. And it was like a mystery movie type thing. That what happens is when you write a paper, it gets uploaded into that system. Mm-hmm. So if somebody say steal, this is like a almost never going to happen thing. Let's say somebody steals your paper, you don't even realize it, they upload it, and then you turn in your paper, and then they basically throw you out of the college because it says you stole this paper. Like, well, no, I wrote this paper. So there is that minuscule chance of it being wrong. But it does a really good job because of that. Because whenever you write something, it immediately gets uploaded. So if somebody 3 years down the road writes the exact same paper as you, it's very unlikely that they did that by themselves and didn't like just rip your paper off. So it's pretty cool. It's fast too, and it just tells you right off.
Scary fast.
Yeah.
It is scary.
Because it's looking at millions and millions of papers instantaneously and just saying, yeah, this is original, or no, it's not.
Mm-hmm. But that's why it's like they should never say it's 100%.
Yeah.
Because, it's still an automated system, and even though, automated, you would think 100%, but no.
Yeah.
It's just like, human. We're never going to be 100%.
Well, this is the funny thing. So whenever someone posts a photograph that is just like, I wonder if this is just a really good AI. Because they'll post like this photograph from 1875. And I'm like, okay, that will be something easy for an AI to fake. So let's do it as a check. And if it's not, it'll be like, there's a 1% chance of this being fake. Or if it is, there's 99% chance of this being fake. It never says 0 or 100. Which I find very funny.
Yeah. Well, because, they have to do that.
Yeah, because they don't want,
they're just asking for it they're just asking for it. They're calling it. Okay. So, and by the way, if you guys see me turning away, I'm just looking at my notes and then also making sure I'm sharing this podcast on the other socials, even though I only pay for so much of the channels. So I'm going to be upfront with that. Okay, so with the AI, it also helps with just like instructional planning for teachers, and also that it can help you support struggling students with targeted interventions. And I think that is like one of the biggest benefits of implementing AI into creating a lesson plan. Because, and I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but not all learners learn the same.
Mm-hmm.
Just no. And especially those with neurodevelopmental minds. Also, there's environmental variables that can impact learning. There's so many more. And then the second big trend is another thing that you touched on, Phil, AR and VR. So AR stands for augmented reality, and VR stands for virtual reality.
Yeah.
And what is the difference, Phil?
Well, virtual reality is just you putting on a headset, and that's the computer image. I mean, literally, it really is as simple as that at this point. VR can also integrate handheld devices. So, like, gamers like VR, can like VR. Some gamers like it. Most gamers seem to not like VR. They like just traditional gaming, which I kind of agree with. As far as like AR is hard for me to describe.
Okay. I'll give you a perfect example. Pokemon Go. When you utilize the camera, right? You see it.
That's true. Yeah.
You look for.
That reminds me, I have one. Keep talking.
So you can find a Pokemon, and then you can throw and so you can catch a Pokemon from where you are. AR integrates a little bit of virtual reality into reality, essentially by utilizing your your phone's camera or tablet's camera? Sorry, go ahead. You got really excited.
Yes, I do. I got this for my birthday. It's a gem joy. So I don't know if you can see this, but it's basically this. It's just this gem here. Has anyone ever heard of gem joy before?
I have never. What is a gem joy?
Well, I'm so excited you asked. So I'm going to change my camera angle for just a second. I have to change it to the side only, just so. Give me one moment where I find my side only camera. Or why don't I just change this one? Cameras. Wait, which one is it? It's this one. Aha. Okay, I just have to turn on my GemJoy. Okay, use the phone. I use my phone with this, and I have a program called GemJoy that is about to open. Don't make me a liar. Okay, it's got like you can't really see this. And so it's got stories, games, and all this. It has some games, which is kind of fun. And then I just do sensations. So what I can do is I can choose between a bunch of these, and there is a point to this because this really is AR. It's very cool. And so I'm going to choose the dragon because it's a dragon. And so experience. And then what I do.
Dragons are pretty slay.
Is okay. You see on there it shows put that in there. So what I do is I have to get this closer. And then I point it towards that. And then boom, I got a dragon.
Cool. That's actually pretty cool.
And I can make him like fly and stuff and like shoot fire. You can't hear all the noises that he's making right now, but it is pretty cool.
Yeah, that is a perfect example of AR.
Anyway, hold on one second because it made it so I couldn't hear my computer.
Oh, no worries.
Anyway, that's an example of it.
Now I want a gem joy.
Oh, it's so cool. Yes, you do. You absolutely do. Trust me.
Okay.
It's so much fun to play with. Let me go put this back. Keep on.
Okay, so the cool thing about integrating AR and VR is to create immersive experiences. Now, I love doing this, especially as a language teacher, whether I be teaching Spanish or Japanese, when you're talking about the cultural aspect of it, having them, experience, samurai, or doing like learning how to make udon, and just other things. It keeps your students engaged.
Yeah.
So, and then also specifically with VR, it actually encourages collaboration in virtual spaces. So it can help kids, it helps you include all kids, right? And it's easier for the shy folk, it's like, okay, it's a video game space, but you're working still alongside with your classmates. So it does make it easier for those that are building up their social skills.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that.
And then, of course, there are some challenges because, like the cost, that's a big one. They are expensive.
They are to a point. Now, the biggest expense, so a lot of people don't realize, so the biggest expense of VR is not the goggles. And then as long as you look past the Apple goggles, because those have a computer built into them, by the way, they do not connect to a computer. So that's why they're like outrageously expensive.
Yeah, so they're like $3,000.
So yeah, the Meta ones, like the ones that other companies make, maybe cost a few $100s, but they don't do anything except they're basically a glorified monitor that goes over your head.
Yeah.
And it has to connect to a computer via a USB-C cable.
Wait, do you say via?
Yes. Or via, however you want to say it.
Sorry, I've never heard anyone say via. I just find that like
Yay!
I'm not trying to like
I'm gonna say via now.
What?
Via. I think both pronunciations are correct, but I should look that up later. I don't know. I'm gonna say it's correct. whether it is or not.
Okay.
I've heard it used both ways.
Really?
So I just always assume both ways are right, and I like Via.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Um,
If I find out it's wrong, I'll never say it again. But it's all right.
no, I'm curious. I'm gonna look that
It
up.
happens. It happens. Okay, we have to look it up now. Let's see. How to pronounce Via. Dun, da, da, da. Ooh, American versus British? Oh, that's boring.
Oh.
Ooh, the interwebs. Google says it's Via, so it has to be right because it never makes mistakes.
Well, you know what? I've been saying via, so I'm just gonna I'm going to continue to say that.
Yeah, I don't really care. I wouldn't have even thought anything of it.
Let me know,
It's
guys.
I have a feeling both ways are correct, actually. I have a feeling they are. So,
Maybe like a
yes.
dialect thing.
How did I use the... Oh, yeah, via a USB-C cable. So that is how they connect, by the way. And one of the negatives there for a classroom is you can't have everybody put a headset on at the same time and everybody have like a powerful enough computer. Because I'm sorry, the iPads that they give kids are not going to power a VR system. Even the best iPad that will exist in the next 10 years will barely be able to like power a VR system. It will eventually, but you need you actually do need a fairly powerful computer.
It depends
to do
on
that.
the type of VR system that you get.
That is true. If you want it to be like realistic enough, like the more realistic the video gets,
The more
the
power
harder it is. So
it's going to need. So that's why it's going to
right,
need
so it
some
depends
computer
on the software, not the headset. It's not the headset itself. It's the software you're using. So the more realistic that software is, the better your computer needs to be. Mostly, or more important, the better the graphics card in the computer has to be. So you can't just have like built-in onboard graphics. It's just not going to be able to handle it. So that's the expensive part. And that is why the new Apple VRs are so expensive. I don't even know what the cost is. I think I blanked out when I looked at it and then forgot.
like, nope. No, but
I
there
was
are
like,
cheaper.
wow, that's a lot of money.
There are indeed cheaper VR sets, and these are typically ones that can, go alongside like with your phone, with an iPad, where they are indeed a
Yeah.
couple of $100s. Still, again, pricey. But they do exist. It's not going to be, the ones like the Meta ones or the Apple ones. And I forgot there was another one that was popular. I can't think of the
Yeah.
brand name right now.
I couldn't either. Well, it's the one that Meta makes. Theirs is the popular one.
Well, there's
I always
another one
forget
outside the
real
Meta
name.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just can't think of it right now. But yeah, so we discussed AI, AR, and VR as like the biggest trends that will be coming up in 2025, even though we have been already utilizing them the past couple of years, but it's really going to explode. Then number 3,
Yeah.
learning analytics. So how this is going to apply in education, right? We need to wait, hold the phone. Where's my thing? There we go. Implementing analytics, aka is the form of data analysis, using student data to help you and to inform decision making. This will also, by using these analytics, is going to help you identify at-risk students, and it will offer you like timely interventions. So like, okay, if you notice some questionable behaviors, right? It's a brand new student. There's not an IAP with this kid. Journal this down. Not journal it, but like it using
Mm-hmm.
a software, and then you can see the patterns like, okay, this works with this does not work with that. And then it will help keep that student engaged. It will help curb certain negative behaviors by utilizing analytics.
Yeah.
There are many learning platforms that will help you um, journal. Sorry, I can't think of a better term here. Journal
Yeah. Yeah. That's
those
fine.
behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the
It.
thing is with using certain platforms that helps you with learning analytics is that
Mm-hmm.
it's going to require data protection and also transparency. So that's something that you guys have to consider. Sorry, Phil, go for it.
Yeah. Oh, it's all right. No, I was thinking as a private teacher myself because I don't do group lessons anymore at all. I've considered getting back into it. I just really haven't had the time actually to even consider it at the moment. Because I mean, every time I think I'm not getting enough students, I get more students. I'm still teaching a lot of hours every week, and I find that as a private teacher, I still can utilize some of that stuff. I don't do as much as a classroom teacher would need to do. And even in some systems in public schools, I think there are some systems already in place to help public school teachers. I believe because I
No,
know public
there
school teachers and I've
absolutely
heard
are.
of this. You have to like apply for something, you get this something, and then you get, I don't know, you get help with with things with the analytics. You can do some of it. Just you don't like if you're in my situation you may not even need a software program. You may be able to say, hey, this student for some reason does this really well, and just realize that, hey, this teaching technique that I usually use may not work with this student. Um, and try to figure out even like maybe going if they're a child talking with the parents saying, do you notice any other areas where this part of learning is an issue, you know, or is there a way that he or she seems to learn better and some ways that they don't seem to learn very well? I mean, you can get a very good idea from that one child or one person just by talking it out to them and figuring it out. What might work. Like, for example, I have a student that I'm going to have use, what is that language learning software? Uh,
Duolingo?
Duolingo, thank you.
Babbel?
Like, my brain's like, no, Duolingo.
Okay.
That I'm not a big fan of. And the music side of it isn't really very good. But I've had a couple students where they have a lot of trouble with something like that might seem simple to a lot of people, like just remembering where middle C is. And if someone say has trouble on a keyboard remembering like one specific note from week to week, it doesn't mean that they have a learning disability. It just means that there's something about that way of learning that doesn't work for them.
Mm-hmm.
And they might, and especially if that person is learning other things very easily, and you're like, huh, that's easy, that's interesting. They're able to memorize a pattern of notes, but they can't remember where C is. That's strange, but it's not abnormal. It's more normal than we might like understand. So finding something like Duolingo that can gamify the memorization of something like that actually helps because it does something that I may not be able to do. It can put it into groups of things where that person may learn in such a different way that they can take that information in more easily by having that or some other program similar to it. So,
Yeah, you bring in a good point
just a
because
thought.
so essentially what you're doing is learning analytics. So
Mm-hmm.
you are literally you're optimizing your instructional strategy
Mm-hmm.
by analyzing the engagement, the recall, And that's all I have.
No, it's perfect. I like it. there's
So yeah, when
there's a lot to this. I like it. I like that. I like the analytics side of it. I do a lot of the analytics in my head. So a lot of that is just to say that remember that you are also different. And if you look at this and go look at some of these softwares and just go, oh God, I can't do that. That's okay.
yeah,
It's
but you
okay.
still want to have
But
like a
it's good to
track or a
try.
record of something, especially like
Exactly. It's good to try it at least.
yeah, it's because you'll have the visual and also you're keeping track of it
Yeah.
because sometimes um a trick could work for so long and then suddenly it won't.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always good to keep it
Yeah.
on file. And you don't have to be a classroom teacher for this. You can be, excuse me, um you can be a private teacher. I know I utilize learning analytics to track my students too. But
Mm-hmm.
then I actually just wrote it on a journal.
I was going to say just writing it down when you're private teaching,
Hmm.
simple, either write it in a giant notebook like I have, or I have some of my students, all their notes are online. And you can always go back and say, you know what, I'm noticing a trend here or whatever. And it also goes back to, I know a lot of piano teachers and voice teachers who are the type that just say, you know what, I only want to teach one kind of student. It's okay. As long as you get enough students to make a living, that's fine. It's okay to be that kind of teacher
Yeah.
because we need some of those type of teachers because some students need that teacher that just basically says, nope, we're doing this. We're playing this song. If you're not at X level within so many months, you're out.
Hmm.
There
And we
are a
need a
lot of teachers like
variety
that out
of
there.
teachers.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
again, still
there's a
keeping
ton of
open
teachers
mind.
that do that, but
But
we
it's
need the rest of us that actually will accept, whatever, and it's okay,
yeah, yeah,
but still push you.
absolutely.
Mm.
And then a couple of more learning models, the hybrid and the blended. So this, what I mean by
Mm.
this is like combining like face to face and online learning activities for the flexibility. And a lot of you guys have experienced this, especially back in COVID. Um, but sometimes having this hybrid blend and teaching actually enhances the effectiveness of students' learning.
Mm.
They can learn through online resources before in person discussion. And I, well, this is where I kind of like Class Dojo a little bit, which is kind of it's really fun. Class Dojo, it's it's a platform in where there's communication between like the students, sorry, not the students, the parents and the teachers. And actually it helps you with learning analytics too. It's fantastic.
Mm.
But there's like a collaboration between teachers, students, and parents. And actually, a lot of schools use this around the world. And it's kind the best way I can describe it is like the social media of classrooms, but that's an inaccurate
Mm.
comparison because
Okay.
that channel is specifically for your class, right?
Mm.
At that specific period block, and the parent, and you can upload, of course, with the parents' consent. You have to make sure you get the parents' consent before utilizing this. Um, Post like what the kids are doing, like taking like fun pictures, seeing them like happy. You can
Mm.
upload files. So rather than having the kids say, "Hey, make sure you give this to your dad," and it's like a flyer for like say the book fair or whatnot, you chances are they're never going to give it to their dad, because they forget. You can upload it. It's amazing, and
Yeah.
there was a point to this.
It's
Um,
more efficient.
it is.
I
Oh
know
my
that's
gosh,
good.
it
It's a
is.
lot
Oh
more
yeah,
efficient than
hybrid
anything
blending.
else.
So
Hmm.
you can add, a little snippets of like the learning, and then like kind of give them insights for your next class, which would be an in-person lesson. So
Mm.
it keeps the students engaged as well.
Yeah.
So, and Class Dojo, guys, if you haven't used it, I did tinkle with it when I had my tutoring business. It was awesome. Like my
Mm.
parents really enjoyed it because, and also I enjoyed it because the portfolios, I could create digital portfolios to showcase their specific work assignments and
Mm.
also projects. Um like I put like what they had, classroom stories. So the classroom stories, you want to think of it as like the reels for
Okay.
Instagram, but specifically for that class. And yeah, it's awesome. Okay, I will stop
Yeah.
fangirling over that
No, that's
website.
good. That's good. There was, yeah, there was I know there was another social media thing that was geared towards that kind of
Oh,
area, but maybe not the, well, it was called Flip something.
yeah, no, it
And
was called
then,
Flip. It was called Flip.
well, it was called Flip. It had a longer name, and then it was bought out by you know who, and they shortened the name to Flip, and then within 1 year they dumped it.
Yeah.
They fired everybody and dumped it faster than the other company they bought.
Oh.
So yeah, they dumped it so fast. I looked it up recently, and I was like, oh yeah. It says they bought it, and then within a year they killed it. They purposely killed it,
Wow.
which was unfortunate because it was an interesting platform. I kind of liked the concept. I tried using it a little bit with some of my group lesson students, and I thought it was a really interesting concept. Mostly, like you said, like that's what got me thinking of it was you said the videos, the shorts and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of what it was. It was a lot of that kind of
It was
stuff.
like a version of Class Dojo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's this yes, a very simplified version of like it didn't do as much anywhere near as
Mm-mm-mm.
much. But I think that's yeah, that's really cool. Like stuff that does that can be super helpful. Like if you need, I wonder if like if you need a signature from from a student's parent, if it could even
You
do
do.
that, or if
You
yeah,
absolutely do. So you send an email, like an invite. Well, first, what I did is I would tell them about it alongside an email, and then I would send a
mhm,
link of the Class Dojo so they can
yeah,
um review like their policies and their safety guidelines and such. So and they're
mm,
very like blanket on that
mm,
when I
that's
used
cool.
to
Yeah,
incorporate it. But it just got too much for me to upload and
yeah, of
stuff like that. I'm
course.
like, okay, I can't do this anymore. No puedo.
Yeah, it can be a lot of work. Now, that's the only other thing is stuff like that can be a lot of work. It can save some work, but it can also add some work. So just you have to just gauge it for what is best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that's like that. Again, people that are private teachers that teach individuals like me, it's probably not super useful, but you know, look at it anyway. You never know what you might be able to get out of something like that. And it's a free program, I believe. So
Yeah, Class
I
Dojo.
don't, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's a free version of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also always good. Free is always good. As far as like organizational tools that I like as a musician, um, I use my music staff,
Mm.
and the other one that oh gosh, I'm just drawing a total like it was in my head and I was gonna say it. Um, it's like a very short word. I will remember it later because it's not coming up. There are a lot of them, and Fonz. That's it. Fonz. That's one of like the major ones. I really like both of those programs. I chose my music staff quite a few years ago, just based on cost. I'm going to be blunt and honest.
No, a lot of people
It's
are
now
like
50.
that.
Yeah, it's right now it's like $15 a month, and I think Fonz was 30. So I mean, it's not that big of a deal if you're teaching enough students, and Fonz does have more usability and a little bit more user friendly, I think, from people that have used it. Absolutely love it, and they would never go away from it.
Mm.
Um, there are lots of others, but these are really useful tools for keeping yourself organized with your students. So, along as something like Class Dojo, these kind of programs, you can write all your notes in from
So
a
it's a type of
lesson
like an
plan.
LMS.
Yeah, so you're right. So what I do is like I can the ones that I type the notes in, I type all my notes, I say that they attended class, and then if I want the notes to go to them or their parents, and I can have it do both, I just put a check mark by their names and boom, as soon as I hit done, it's immediately emails their notes from that day, from the notes that I took for their lesson. So I
Mm-hmm.
know they're getting their notes every single time as long as I do that. So they can't say, well, I didn't know what to practice, whatever.
No, they're still probably
Um,
going to say that.
yeah. Yeah. You can even have it. Now, nobody uses it that I teach. I'm going to be honest. There's a practice log. Now, I'll remember when I was growing up, I loved checking off the practice log. That
Mm-hmm.
was exciting to me to go, I practiced 15 minutes today. I practiced 20 minutes today. Like I liked doing that. I don't know. Today, I think maybe people just think differently. They don't really care as much about that. I just thought that was a lot of fun. It does have that. It has a lot of those kind of additions for music teachers, and I'm sure there's software out there specific to language teachers, English teachers, math teachers, science teachers, all that that will do something very similar. So looking for
Um,
something like that's very specific, genre specific or whatever, not genre specific, but
there's oh my gosh, what's it called? What's it called? There is one. Um,
hmm. Oh, the
I
other
can't
big
think of
one for
it.
musicians is Opus One. I remember I see it on the list.
Oh, I remember you were talking
That
about
one is
Opus One. Yeah.
expensive. I looked at the price and it's like, no. It was more than Fonz. And I was just like, but I mean, the reviews are just like, it changes your life. I was like, I doubt it. It does. It makes me pay more money, but it might be that good. It really might be that good. So it is something to look into. Like if you are running a music tutoring business and you have teachers teaching under you, something like Opus One might be even better. It might be more robust. All of these programs, like there's a lot of people that use My Music Staff that have music studios with teachers under them, and the thing is I do see a lot of complaints like, oh my gosh, I forgot. How do we do this? Or this started happening and I can't figure it out. But the thing is they still like using it because it still does organize the studio and
Mm-hmm.
it makes their lives very easy, compared to the old pen and paper version.
Yeah. There's a what was it? I just learned about this recently. Uh, it kind of goes to, well, they have minor incorporate integrations of like LMS, but um, it's more so of, you know what? Never mind. Never mind.
It's okay. Whoops. Well, we'll find it later. We'll
Yeah,
talk
we'll
about it
find it
in
later for
another
sure.
podcast.
But another one not on the LMS sense, but of a cool tool for students, even for adults. So, well, okay, no, I lied. More for kids, for like hands-on STEM learning is Tinker
Hmm.
Card.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
what Tinker Card is, it's an online platform designed for like 3D models. coding projects,
Oh,
electronics.
Tinkercad.
Sorry,
Tinkercad.
Tinkercad. Yeah, not Tinkercard. Tinkercad. Yeah.
That's an
And
engineering term.
it's fantastic for visual learners, especially for those that want to like explore design or to explore engineering. And then of course there's Scratch. I mean, everyone knows Scratch,
Cool.
I think.
And it's something like this leads, if somebody really likes something like Tinkercad, I am not an engineer. My dad is, though, and he went from mechanical engineering when he retired to woodworking after he retired. And he uses programs like CAD like programs for his woodworking.
Mm.
And it's like you don't do everything by hand anymore. You do a lot of stuff, and you still have to know what you're doing and be good at it. But, it increases safety in woodworking. He's only cut pieces of fingers off like a lot less times in the last 10 years uh, because of
Well, that's good
technology.
to hear.
Just like terrifying.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, there's programs where you can get equipment now, very expensive equipment, but you can get equipment where you send the program, the design or like the art you want or design you want cut out into the program, and it just turns on and it just goes bzzz and cuts out the design into the wood, and it's like so cool to watch it do that.
Yeah, it's and so much safer.
Yeah, and it's just so
It's so much
fun to
safer.
watch. It's like that's just neat that it can do that kind of thing. The things that can be designed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, just as a side thought, if you have a kid that is like really into sciencey stuff, having them learn a kid friendly CAD program, that's exciting that exists.
Yeah, it definitely makes when utilizing that when utilizing these tools that are out there, it really can impact on it can have a huge impact on your students. Again,
Yeah,
again, not just limited to kids. I'm also talking to your adult students as well, and
yeah,
utilizing some of these things. Guys, teaching doesn't have to be hard. All right, chances are that you're probably making it harder than what it needs to be if you know the fundamentals of teaching.
yeah. And something I say, like, and I have 3 minutes left, but I want to say
No
something
worries.
really quick. This
Yes.
I find really important to myself because I need to do this more. Is whenever we think when we get stuck into using a program, because I just thought about this. I'm like, I've been using MMS for how many years now? Like every now and then, go into Google, do a Google search, say programs similar to whatever you're using, or programs
Mm-hmm.
that do whatever, and look at what is available because there might be something new out there. There might be something better than what you're using or
Or
something more
maybe
user
that thing that you're using
friendly.
now is the best out there for
It
you.
might still be. Yeah, it might work perfect. You might think, you know what, I don't want to deal with the learning curve side of it, so this still works. That's okay. But just know that there could be something better. It might be cheaper, it might be more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but we're looking at what will improve your life in some way,
Be
not
more
just what
effective.
am I used to kind of thing.
Yeah, the whole what am I used to is not the best approach.
Yeah. It's like, well, I'm used to only eating bacon for all three of my meals every day. Say, well, maybe you'll want to rethink that so you live past 40. Or I only like pizza. It's like maybe branch out it's like the same idea as
Yeah.
anything. Like just try to branch out a little bit and you might surprise yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
All right. So we are going to start heading out.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let
And I
us know if
hope
you guys
the
have any
oh, and I hope the
questions.
fires are doing okay over there.
Oh my
I
gosh,
know
a
that.
lot of the evacuations have been lifted.
Oh, good. Because I know that
We are
there were
no
people
longer
after the
in
fact.
we're no longer
Gosh, I
in a
was getting.
warning. Like
Okay,
it's
good.
white, it's not red. According to I'm doing
Yeah.
the visuals based on the Watch Duty app. Um Eaton Fire is 55% contained. Palisades, it's still burning. It's only 22%, but it's significant improvement though.
And as long as the people who, after the fire was going, I know people in California, they were telling me, yeah, and we've got arsons over here that are keeping the fires going. I'm like, what is wrong with people?
Oh, don't ask yourself that question. You're just going to go into a very bad
Oh
loop.
my God. Yeah, I just go to a bad place
Just,
when I
just
think,
go.
there's a big fire going and you start another one on purpose just to keep it going. Like, what? Oh,
Just
no.
go when you're happy, Placeville.
Yeah, it's just terrible. But anyway,
Yeah.
well, it's good to hear.
On that note, yes, it's so much better.
Good.
So thank you for
Good,
asking.
good.
All right, guys. Until next time, we shall see you next Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time, 12:30 p.m. Eastern.